Sorry, Margaret, I moved your mic.
Oh, okay.
You got what now?
I think I moved your mic.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I
Already?
Yeah.
Oh, check this. Check that pose.
You can keep my shoes out of them.
just.
My little sketches. I know, but you keep them out of there anyway. They breaking over there. I get some up.
Oh, check this. Check that pose. Check that. Check that pose. Check that.
Yours truly, gentleman Nelson. Yo, with the family affair.
Check that pose. Check that pose.
Good evening. Welcome to another episode of Check That Post Podcast. I'm your host, Jen, and these are my co-hosts, Christina, Queen,
Marjorie.
and tonight's segment, we're going to be talking about becoming a woman. Yes. Love to talk about becoming a woman. So I think I'll go first. I'm Jennifer. And my experience as becoming a woman, I guess you could say, started really early for me. I got married when I was 18 years old. And I didn't know nothing about being a wife, being a girlfriend, I didn't even know nothing about being a girl. I was young and naive, and I said I do because I got involved, married, was dating an older gentleman who was older than me. So knew a little bit about the world, so he asked me to marry him, make a long story short, and I said I do. Didn't know what I was getting into. I really didn't. I don't remember dating him for a long period of time because I really didn't know who he was, and likewise, he really didn't know who I was. He wanted a wife, and I was wanting to get out of my mama's house. So I said, "Yeah!" And I ran out of the frying pan into the fire. But I'm not gonna. Yeah, I made it out. I ain't gonna say everything's all bad because it wasn't. It was a learning process. I grew to care for him. I mean, I guess you can say I loved him. Well, I will say I loved. I don't think I was in love.
Right.
From what I know, what being in love is, because I really didn't know him. But we did get to, over a process of, I think it was 3 years, get to know each other. To the extent, when the babies started coming, it's like they was coming back to back to back to back.
They did come back.
And they would have kept coming because my upbringing, I didn't know anything about birth control. So I was told, if you breastfeed your child, you won't have to worry about you won't get pregnant, which I found out real quick that ain't the truth.
Quite true.
So, once the babies started coming, the stress, he was taking on a lot of stress because having how to provide not only for a wife, but for not only for one kid, but a wife and 2 kids.
Right.
So, he did work, and I stayed home with the babies. But then it got to the point where he was, wanting to go hang out, do things that men do in the street or whatever. And you know, I couldn't go. You know, I had to take care of the babies. So, because the household was growing, we moved from one side of town to another side of town. And I'm trying to chop it up, but at the same time, tell my story as becoming a woman. Because at this point, I still don't know what it is to be a woman. I mean, I know I'm a woman. And I'm not saying this point 2024, I don't know. Of course I know I'm a woman and I know what it is to be a woman. But I'm talking about at that time period.
At that age.
And at that age, I guess at this point, my third pregnancy, because the kids came back to back. First one came when I was turning 19, and then the second one, 18. Was it 20? 20. Seemed like it was 18, 19, and 20, but they was stair steps. So it like I said, it was a learning process. Lord knows, I wouldn't take my children for nothing in the world. Lord knows, but that experience I had to go through, it made me who I am today.
Right.
So I try not to live with regret, but it was a learning process, like I said. But getting to the point, there was some situations that happened where the money was tight because, mind you, we had 3 babies, and I had to provide diapers, or he had to provide diapers and bottles and milk and food and pay the bills on one check. So if you see how hard things is today, you can imagine how hard it was back then trying to take care of all that on one check. But so he was stressed and I was stressed, and I attempted to try to go get a job. Mind you, I ain't have no job training, period. Like, I'm coming out of school. So, well, I take it back. I did used to clean houses. I used to have my mom do that for a little bit of time, but I ain't know nobody. I didn't have no license, couldn't drive, so let's say I was just a homemaker. And so he had his vices, and you know, when I asked for money at times to buy food, and I'm talking about during a period of time where he would give me $20 to buy grocery for all of us, and I would make that thing work. I cooked a lot of beans in the crock pot, bought a lot of pork chop because it was cheap, chicken, of course, and that pretty much was our meal, like every week. And he would come home for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and I had to make that work, and it did work. And I was tired of it. He was tired of it. Oh, we ate a lot of rice and beans. But, you know, when he got angry because of the situation, he took it out on me. And I always try to fight, keep the kids quiet so, you know, they won't upset him. Just like everything was upsetting him. And, you know, when he started taking it out on me, things got really, really bad for me. And basically, this is just really a segment to encourage anybody that's might be going through spousal abuse, or and don't know how they're gonna make it out, and got kids and no job and no money, and just worried about how they're gonna make it. Look at me now. I got out of that situation by the grace of God. I survived it, and I'm gonna tell you, I left the situation when I had 2 kids. He, you know, was beating on me, and, you know, a woman can try to fight back. But when you fighting a full-grown, able-bodied man, and at this time I was, about maybe 125, 130 pounds, it's no match for that.
90 pounds.
My sister down 90 pounds. She's probably right. Nothing but a big belly. But I tried to fight back, and I, of course, I didn't win, and I had the bruises to prove it. And I left that situation. I took my kids and I left that situation, and I found out I was pregnant. and I called him. I made a mistake and called him because I was scared. I didn't know what I was gonna do with 3 babies, and I let him talk me into coming back. And things was good for a minute. We had to go find another place to live. And then the second he got angry again, it started up again. To the point it got so bad that this man would drag me by my neck from one of my son's bed to the other son's bed. And just when I'm getting ready to pass out, he would come to his senses. He would let me go. And I'm laying there and I'm trying to breathe. I'm hitting on his hand and he just not letting go. And his eyes just looking crazy. And I could just see him come back to himself and he let me go. Like he didn't even realize what he was doing. And that situation went on. And my kids were stressed and they started wetting bed. And I just made up in my mind, anything is better than this. I just knew that there was something better for us. Like, I wasn't going to take that anymore. So I waited till he went to work, and I snatched my kids up, and we got out of there, and we did not look back. And I'm telling you how good God is, because this is a story of survival. I survived this situation, and I know you, if you're going through that same situation, you can survive it. It doesn't matter the time frame.
Right.
You got to know within your own self that there's something better for you and your children. You can survive it. Because I didn't have no money. And I had 3 kids. And I got them and we left. We went to stay in a women's shelter. And when I came back, a couple weeks later, I went to court, put him on child support, which he never paid. All I asked, they paid $50 for 3 babies. Imagine if I was saying $50,000. I said $50 for 3 babies. Just give me something to help. I got an apartment. Once I got an apartment, me and my kids moved in that apartment, and we went through some rough times of recovery because I was paranoid, thinking he was gonna find us. Because I had let him know I'm taking the kids and I'm leaving. Don't look for us because we done. We not coming back. I don't know if he looked for us or not. I didn't care. I was in survival mode. And there were many a nights that one of my sons had asthma real bad. And we would have to take him to the hospital and they put him on a breathing machine or whatever, and, till he, come back to himself. And there was a tree that was near the bedroom window, and that when the wind blows, it would against the window, and he would wake up in a panic and sweating and out of breath and thinking that his daddy's trying to get him. Ma, and then he'll go into a full-blown asthma attack. And there were many nights I had to sit there and rub on his chest. No, baby, no, he don't know where we at. We're good. You can relax. You can go to sleep. And the other son, he stopped peeing in the bed. His eyes was always so big because it was a nervous wreck. He got okay. My daughter, she don't remember anything because, she was a baby. She was on my hip. So we got through that. I still wasn't getting no money. I was getting $18 a month to survive to pay utilities. And we was on food stamps because we had to eat. But we was happy. My kids was happy. And I would let them go outside and play in the yard, but I kept the door locked. And I would always go to the door watching them. And it took a long time for us to get through that and get past that and get over that. But we did. We got through it. And they started growing up. And one day he walked by. They was out there in the yard. And one of them ran to the door. Mom, I see Dad. And I ran to, y'all come in the house. He walked by, he didn't even notice it.
Wow.
That was a blessing right there. Because I don't know what he would have tried to do.
Wow.
But I have so many stories, but all that to say, I survived all that, and you can too. And there's a whole lot more to the story, but I'm gonna let somebody else talk. Just want to say, if you're going through anything that you feel like you don't have no control and you want out, but you don't know how to get out, There are ways. Reach out to somebody. Don't be afraid. Like, take that chance, especially if you got kids. Do what's best for yourself and for your kids. You can't get away from that situation. You don't have to put up with that. Nobody owns you. You're not a slave. You can't get away from that situation. And I wasn't a bad wife. I didn't do nothing. I wasn't going nowhere. I was at home. But there was something wrong in his mind for him to be putting his hands on me. So that was something that he had to deal with. And he had to live with that situation. But when I say I never look back, I never look back. And let me tell you something. He's the father of all three of our children, which he's no longer alive. But they never asked where he was. They never asked to see him because they went through the same thing I was going through. They never asked. So kids ain't dumb. You just have to show them love and do what's best for them. And they'll be okay. They're strong, just like you're strong. I believe you can overcome any situation because I overcome, so I know you can. So that's my little testimony. I'm gonna shut up. Yes. Anybody
You
else?
don't have to.
I'll go next. So I like to think of myself as a late bloomer. And it might come as a surprise to certain people who always considered me as strong-minded and stubborn and, you know, some people looked at me like I got all the answers sometimes. At least they made me feel that way. But really, I mean, I had a good sense of what I thought I wanted. But I think where I messed up at is, I guess trying to, it wasn't like I was trying to become a woman, but the decisions I was making, because I ended up being boy crazy when I was finally able to date. I put myself in womanly situations. So I got pregnant in high school. I didn't really I had a sheltered childhood, so that was one thing. I didn't have experience, getting to know myself, finding out what I like, self-love. I didn't have it. I felt like I put myself in a position where I was constantly loving other people more than myself, and put myself on the back burner all the time. And I thought that's all I thought to do. Like, I didn't know another way to do things. So by the time I was 24, I already had 4 children. So the stuff that I was thinking, was making me a woman or whatever, it really wasn't. I was basically in survival mode the whole time. Even in my teenage years, I was just constantly surviving, doing stuff because I had to do it. It wasn't until I turned 25 to where my mind was like I fully was able to comprehend what I did with my life. Like, I'm like, whoa, okay, I'm really a mom. Like, I'm gonna be a mom forever. Like, this stuff don't stop. Like, at first, I knew I was pregnant and I knew I was having kids, but I kept hearing so many times, like, I guess I had the mind frame, like, you just gotta get them grown or whatever. And when they're grown, that's it. But when I turned 25, I'm like, this ain't it. Like, I'm a mom forever. Like, it was like stuff that should have been common sense. It was just starting to click when I turned 25. My body started to feel different. I started to think differently. I started to move differently. And I was just carrying myself in a different way. So honestly, when I turned 25, that's when I started learning, what do I like? What do I want? Where do I want to work? I started taking control over my freedom. You know, all that time, you know, through childhood, you know, you got to always do what your parents tell you to do.
Right.
Then teenage years, I went boy crazy, so I'm doing what these knuckleheads telling me to do. When I was 25, I was finally strong enough to do what I wanted to do,
Right.
stand up for myself, you know, the best way I could, because I ain't really had that down pat either. But I had somewhat of a sense, you know, to just do what was best for my kids for a change. So I wasn't doing stuff like that until I was 25. So I'm 30 now, and I'm still learning and growing. I love where I'm at right now way more than what I did when I was younger. I communicate better. I acknowledge my feelings better, whether they're good or bad. I validate myself. You know, I've learned how to enjoy my children. Still learning how to do that. When I was younger, I didn't show them affection that much. I gave them just enough to make sure, you know, they were calm. But I was more of the provider. Now I'm at a point where I'm learning how to cherish the small things, the small moments, you know, sculpting them and teaching them how to find out who they are, trying to give them little tips here and there, you know, as needed, you know, to make sure they don't go boy crazy like how I went. Making sure that they know that I love them, not just by me giving them stuff, but they can feel it. Like, they know if I don't give them nothing else, mama been there for me, mama loved me, you know, stuff like that. It's becoming a woman is a journey. Like, it's not, you know, once you hit 18, that's it. Like, you're constantly changing.
Right.
At least I am. I can be into one trend one week. I might want to switch it up another week. You know, I might even foods that I used to eat. Chinese food used to be my favorite food. Now it's different. Now it's Mexican food. It's simple stuff. Like, your preferences change. When I was younger, I used to go for, you know, really cocky dudes, I guess. And now that I'm getting older, it's like I have a humble man, you know, that I love and cherish dearly.
Somebody
you know?
laid back.
Yeah, I never thought that I would be with somebody like that, but it like fits me so well. When I was younger, I used to be extremely bullheaded, mean, hateful. I never thought that I would have peace on the inside of me. It took a long time getting here, but now that I am here, I'm like, wow, it's unbelievable to me. I struggled with depression and I still do, honestly, if I'm 100% honest. I've struggled with depression all my life, but I didn't know what to do with those feelings when I was younger. But now as a woman, you know, I've learned, and I'm still learning how to live my life with depression. Like, if it ain't gonna go nowhere, okay, well, teach me how to cope with it. And that's what I'm doing now. You know, whether it's medicine that I have to take or prayers that I have to pray, stuff I need to keep myself away from. It don't matter. Like, I'm here. I'm finally happy with myself, with my life. I feel like I'm thriving. And I enjoy the people around me, you know, for, I guess, the first time in my life. Like, I don't have no complaints.
That's good.
I feel alive, well, healthy, whole. I have no complaints. In all, like, my younger life, you know, so far, like, it was a emotional struggle for me. It was a dark place on the inside. And now that I'm stepping into my womanhood and knowing you know, I have freedom to make my life whatever I want it to be.
Right.
I mean, it's
Isn't
like
it-
a dream come true.
Isn't it nice to know that you don't have to have all the answers?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's so
You can
freeing.
learn along the way.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Mhm.
and you're gonna make mistakes.
Right.
Mhm.
You're gonna make mistakes, but it's
Yep.
okay.
Right.
Yeah, cause the older you get, the more things you're gonna go through.
Yes.
Cause your children, you gotta be able to show them when you've been through it, so you can teach your
Mhm.
children
Mhm.
what to look out for, and everything is it's a lesson in everything that we do. And the thing that we need to make sure that we're doing is, that we're finding that lesson. Because, what we have in mind versus what God have in mind for us, is so much different. And we're always our worst critics, you know, and we always, a lot of times, think on the shoulda, woulda, couldas, you know, and we have to stop thinking on the shoulda, woulda, couldas and live in the now. Because some of those things that we didn't get to do, it was good that I didn't get to do them. You know, and I gotta be all right with that, you know, that it wasn't the way that I was supposed to go. It wasn't supposed to be for me to have that particular thing, because a lot of the times we can make gods out of a lot of things that we want, what we want to do, and that's not intended for our lives. You know, it's okay to have those goals, you know, and work toward those goals to have them manifest in your life. But if that goal don't happen that year, put it on the next year. You know, because everything, there's a season, and everything, there's a different time that things are gonna happen.
Well, I'm gonna say, my coming up with a woman age was probably about 25 also. It was after, I guess it was probably about, well, I'm gonna say about 24 actually. After I had both of my kids, just realizing that, you know, I'm about to be a single mom, so it was like I got into a whole nother mode. So, kind of survival mode, but at the same time, it was a little bit closed off. Like, you know, like my circle got smaller. It was just certain stuff I didn't do anymore. Certain places I wouldn't go anymore. You know, which allowed me to, you know, save some money, of course, you know, but it just allowed me to be able to make those grown-up decisions that I wasn't able to make before because I was too busy doing whatever, you know. I just wasn't on my grown woman stuff, you know. Not saying that I wasn't paying my bills and stuff like that, like, you know, all that was getting taken care of, but my focus wasn't my family. So, you know, when my focus became my family, my life became everything. So, I'm gonna say it was about 24 for me, but it was great. My kids, they just, you know, grew me up a little bit faster, probably than I wanted to, because they were not planned, but they were blessings, both of them. So I appreciate both of my kids. Like they both bring something different to me. But of course I love them the same. Those my babies. They teenagers now. They make me feel old, but yeah, 24. That was a year for me. I mean, it was just really just the breakup, and then it was just like, you know, you're out here alone, like just you and these kids. So it was just like coming to the realization that, you know, you haven't been on it. You know, I had to realize that, okay, you've been slacking a little bit, you know. And then finally saying, okay, don't be throwing a little pity party for yourself. Just get in the gear and get to going, And of course, I had my mama there to help me whenever I needed help, and she stepped in. And I appreciate her for that as well. She definitely did her part. But just having her guidance as well, that definitely helped me to become a better woman. Just seeing her and her relationship, her marriage, just knowing, what I have to look forward to, just, and being happy, like, just with myself, I wake up every day and I'm happy, like, I'm happy to wake up every day, so, I just wanna stay like that, and if I gotta be single to stay like that, then hey, I guess it just ain't in his plan, but, I can't wait for the day, to where I'm happily married also and waking up to my husband, happy with him as well. But until then, I'ma still wake up happy.
Yes, definitely that.
Yes, you definitely got to find that happiness from within.
Oh, yeah.
And once you find it from within yourself, and you're okay being by yourself, then guess what? It's gonna happen.
Yeah. The sky's the limit.
Continue.
Yes.
My situation is a lot like my sister's situation. We was in a different place and different time when things were circulating in our life that we had no control over. It's not like, we was getting up, thinking about being somebody's wife, having a boyfriend at that. 'Cause we didn't even have dolls.
Right.
We didn't even have dolls to even, imagine that kind of, kind of life,
No
and
TVs
no
either.
TVs or nothing like that. So our lifestyle was basically church. When we wasn't in church, they allowed us to go to school, but and then back to church. But just like any other, everybody else that was going to football games and skating rings and basketball games, all that outlet that other children have, we didn't have that. So we was in a place where they matched people up, together, and so being teenagers, we didn't know who we were, what we wanted to be, where we was going. We did not know that, because we were so busy being made to live a holy life. So we went through a lot of hardship, and definitely being marrying people that we didn't love. We didn't know what that was. We weren't receiving it at home, so we didn't know how to give love. So that thing just kind of, like she said, trying to get away. When our opportunity presented itself, we running trying to get away. It's like being in jail and now you're free. And you can do your own thing. While that wasn't it wasn't too bad of a life after I adapted, because I knew how to cook and clean and watch kids, and she did too. So, but it's just the fact that not knowing who you are, not knowing how to love somebody. I was around 16. By the age of 23, I think. I think it was 23, when I had my last baby. And I still don't know who I am, you know. I'm still caring about this guy that I married. He knew how to do all the working part and taking care of what he needed to take care of. And but he was like 5 years older than me, so he knew more than what I knew, you know. And so I sort of stayed in that little teenage mode. You, you know, I was still there, well, singing nursery rhymes, you know. I stayed to myself a lot, you know, because you know he was at work, but a great guy at providing for things. But there was always something missing there because things didn't turn out the way that it should have. Where you have the love of your life that you're getting ready to marry, and you know, of course, we had the wedding and all that, but it just wasn't the same because you're trying to find the woman in you, and the woman in you that wants to be let out can't be let out because she don't know who she is, you know. And there's things that you want to do, but you don't know how to do them. What you was trying to get, you tried to get it from books that you read. Definitely stayed into the novels, trying to find, you know, that kind of love that they have in the novels, you know. But navigating through the children, married 1 month, pregnant the next month, 9 months later I'm a mother, so you know that becoming somebody's wife, you know, so now I'm pregnant, now I'm somebody's mother, you know, and so trying to, you know, navigate through with these kids and play that role that I was supposed to play. But there was time that I became angry because now I have these children, and it was before all of them came that I began become angry because I didn't know what to do with myself because I had dreams, you know, things that I wanted to do, places that I wanted to go. But when you have children, you got to take them everywhere, you know, you go. And that's one of the things that I ain't let a whole bunch of people keep my kids, you know. And so usually wherever I was, there my kids was right there with me. So he was working the second shift, so it was always a question, where's he at, you know? Like I didn't have a bed, but I did. He just, you know, he was just providing. And so we really didn't know each other that well, you know. We didn't have the people that was there that saw to it that we got together to give us counsel. You know, first of all, in my mind, at that particular time, it should not have happened to begin with. You know, it should have been when I had gotten a little bit older, so I could have learned more. But however, those things happen in my life, and a lot of times we question, okay, God, why did said things happen? I can take this thing and look at it two ways. It could have been somebody that was from the streets and had become a really bad man and treated me, you know, real crazy. It could have been that kind of lifestyle. But being in this lifestyle, I had a mind kind of my own, and what I wanted to do, I wanted to do those things. I wasn't really big on being all that disciplined, you know, like, we didn't have that problem. I'll say we didn't have that problem because he pretty much trusted my judgment. But just like any spouse, you know, they want to get their way or whatever. So, you know, you try little stuff like that. But I think the woman in me probably came more. I began to notice it more maybe in my late 30s that things started to shift for me. So now now I'm out of those 20s, and my body is definitely taking a different turn. My emotion beginning to take a different turn. Now I'm realizing now this person that I married, that I'm still not where I need to be with him. He's realizing that I'm not the one that he needs to be with at the time, because we both had not matured, you know. But for us taking care of house, working and all that kind of stuff, all that kind of stuff was down pat. But it's never no good when you just there trying to navigate with each other, you know, but you don't have what you need. Like we probably had been married like maybe over 10 years before we even went out to a restaurant like with the whole family. We didn't do stuff like that, you know. We didn't get to know a lot of part of ourselves, you know. And then the work thing, it was such a problem with that. And then when you have kids in there, it's always you tending to the children, you know, or you pregnant before you could want one. And I remember being upset about that because I wanted to be like everybody else. Let's plan. And so I never got to plan because it seems like I was always pregnant. So to me, now I'm starting to feel. Now that woman thing in me is really coming out, because now I'm starting to feel some stuff like, wow, every time before I could want to be pregnant, I'm pregnant, and I don't want this, and I'm popping babies out, you know. I just want to do my own thing. I want to know about me, what I am capable of doing, the things that I enjoy doing, where I want to go. That's the things that I wanted to do. So things happen in the marriage. We had little ruffles and tuffles, and a lot of times it was mostly me. If I get mad, I'll slap somebody. So, you know, and I might punch them a little bit, you know, and stuff like that there. But, you know, when you get married, a lot of times you don't want to end it in a divorce. You want to stay right there with your spouse. You want things to work out, you know. Even though we wasn't in love with each other, but we cared about each other a lot because we'd been together for many, many years, you know. And so it's like trying to right or wrong, you know, it can be very difficult, but it can be done. And you have to work with the forgiveness. Learn to forgive people when they have wronged you, you know. At the end of the day, if it's not a life or death situation, you know, let's forgive and let's move on, because if your spouse is ready to do right, sometimes it takes them a long time, and he may not be ready, or you may not be ready. So sometimes you got to keep your family together. You know, it's about those children when you raise children. And it's hard when you don't have that spouse there that's helping you raise those kids. So don't be so quick to be like, oh, I'm getting rid of you, so and so, because you done did this, that, and the third. Okay, well, we all make some mistakes. I'm not telling you, you'll know when to move, but I'm just saying, but if it's not that much, don't put yourself into that situation, because we're living in a time now where our children need both of their parents, you know. And if they don't have both of their parents, they need some strong grandparents and grandfathers that are there, some aunties and some uncles that will step in and help you raise those children, because it's no joke being out there with your kids, because you either gonna be working 2 or 3 jobs trying to take care of them. But if you can go to counseling and fix some situation, I'm talking about stuff that you can fix. So some people, they'll separate for silly stuff, you know. And sometimes you have to humble yourself down to say, you know what, I'm
best you can on their head. If you
Right.
find the umbrella and frail their head real good. Now, if that's what you gotta do, that's what you gotta do. But if it's something that you can fix, try to fix it, because you need each other when it come down to those children and co-parenting with those children, and the children need to see that, because what the children are seeing now is families, they break up. So in their mind is they don't want to be married,
Right.
because all they see is families are breaking up, they're not getting together, and we're teaching them, no, you got to do this, you got to do that, and they're watching us play out our lives where we're not forgiving, where we're fighting for crazy stuff, and so I just encourage you to hang in there, and even if your situation have showed up like me and my sister, well, we overcame a lot of stuff, and we're able to talk about it without crying, because this stuff was like, we went through some stuff, and it took us years to be able to sit down and talk about some things without tears welling up, and because not that we didn't forgive, it's just that when you live something, you've been through a hardship, that stuff was hurting, and even though you forgive, you're not gonna forget,
Right.
and so sometimes that stuff will come back, and then you have to change the the frequency, and think about something else. It's like you turning that frequency on the radio station when you got something coming on and you don't want to hear. Well, when that brain start talking to you, then you better change it and get into something positive, But whatever situation in your life that you have had, know that you can overcome anything in your life, no matter how big, no matter how small it is. You can overcome it, but it's according to how you think, and you gotta think the good thing. Did we cry many a night? Yeah, we did. And even after going through a divorce with me, getting involved with someone, and that thing was it did a number on me. I mean, a real number on me, where it did a number so bad on me that I can't even believe it. But I'm still here because some people can have numbers done on them so bad that they're not here today because of some craziness. But I thank God that even though the hurt that I went through in my life, the trauma, I'm still able to navigate. Have I forgotten it? No. But I had to shift the way I thought. I had to shift the way how I act around people, and not allow people to make me sweat, so to speak, because I am around that particular person, and learn to forget. It wasn't easy for me. It was a real tough thing for me to do. Yeah, I cried many nights. Do I want to get married again? I do. I really do. But if it doesn't ever happen, then I'll be all right the way I am.
I'll tell you, you said something that made me think about the last time he hit me. He knocked my jaw out of whack. And every time I chew, you can hear my jaw pop very loud. Or when I yawn, sometimes even when I laugh. And I just noticed this year it doesn't do that anymore. So my jaw healed. It took this back in the 80s. Yeah. Just healed. Here it is in 2024. So like she said, I ain't never forgot. And probably never will forget about it. But I forgave it and I let it go. It's you could try that with me today and see what happened. We're not doing that. But we healed from that. We overcame that. So now we can talk about it And hopefully our story will help somebody else be encouraged that you can overcome and you can survive. So we just want to have that special segment to give a little bit about who we are and welcome y'all to Check That Post podcast if you never heard of us before.
Thank you for watching.
Yes, thank you for watching.
Yeah.
And always tune in every Thursday about 7:30 p.m. This has been another episode of Check That Post podcast, a podcast about life, love, and relationships. You can follow us on TikTok at Check That Post Pod. No, at Check That Post, and on Facebook and on YouTube at Check That Post Pod. Like and subscribe. Turn on your notifications so you know every time we upload a new episode. You can write a Dear Jen letter to let us know whatever issue you're going through that you would like advice on at checkthatpostpod@gmail.com, or you can text at 866-311-2251.